Good morning. This is Father John Cusick, and I have been and continue to be the chaplain of the First Friday Club since we began back in ancient history, 1986. And we're really thrilled to be able to present once a month, the first Friday of October through May, a key person who can help us make connections between our work, our faith, and the issues of the day. And we've been able to do this throughout the pandemic. Granted, we can't do it in person as we've done for a majority of those years at the Union League Club and prior to that, the Palmer House, but we continue to do it, and we're thrilled today. Now it's April Fool's Day, Commissioner, and it's got nothing to have you pertaining to you, but that's just the culture. So we're really, really thrilled today to have the fire commissioner for the city of Chicago. Here's a woman who has been a fighter, continues to be, moved up through life in a variety of capacities. And if anybody continues to break the glass ceiling, it's Commissioner Nance-Holt. So I'd like to begin, Commissioner, with a little bit of a prayer, and then off we go, okay? Blessed God, we've made it to another month, the month of April. The days are longer, the days are a bit warmer, and there's more hope now that we've broken the back of winter. We ask today in particular, conscious of the presence of the fire commissioner, to continue to watch over our city, watch over the paramedics and the firefighters who work that thin line between sometimes chaos and order, between chaos and peace. We would be remiss today if we didn't remember Blair Holt, who at the age of 16, very much in the spirit of Jesus, gave his life for another human being. May he rest in eternal life, and may his mother and dad hold them tight in their hearts and in their love, and watch over all of us, your people. We put this prayer, we put this day, we put this month in God's hands, and we pray in God's name, amen.
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 Commissioner, welcome. And Judy Murphy, Maureen Murphy, you're the one who's going to lead us through this today. I got Murphy's on my mind here. And it's all yours. Maureen is the president of the First Friday Club, and it's all yours. You and the commissioner go at it.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Father Cusick. And I have to say, I'm absolutely honored and delighted to be here today in conversation with Chicago's Fire Commissioner, Annette Nance-Holt. And let me take a few moments to do a more formal introduction of our Fire Commissioner, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So, Fire Commissioner Annette Nance-Holt is a 32-year veteran of the Chicago Fire Department. As the Fire Commissioner, she is responsible for the day-to-day administrative and operational oversight of the country's second largest fire department, the second largest in our nation. She oversees a budget of approximately $740 million, and she leads a workforce of nearly 5,000. Just a little more, as the first woman to hold this rank in the history of the department, she has steadily progressed through the ranks. She started out as a firefighter, was pretty quickly promoted, became lieutenant, training instructor, captain, battalion chief, deputy district chief, first deputy fire commissioner, and now she serves as our fire commissioner. Just one other bit of introduction referenced in the introduction and prayer that Father Cusick made. She has encountered incredible tragedy in her personal life. As a result of the death of her son, the murder of her son due to gun violence, her passion has become passing common sense gun legislation. Since her son Blair's death in 2007, our commissioner has supported parents who have lost a child to gun violence with the creation of the nonprofit organization Purpose Over Pain, an advocacy organization that supports parents who also have lost children to gun violence. She is also involved in a scholarship that honors her son, and we will talk more about her additional volunteer activities as well. So again, I am honored, delighted to be here, and welcome, Commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Maureen, and thank you for having me on First Friday. I'm honored to be here to talk with you.
Well, again, my thanks, the thanks of everyone who's listening. I'd like to begin the way I always do in personal or professional conversations. Tell us a little bit, please, if you would, about your growing up years.
Okay, so I grew up on the west side of Chicago, where my parents had a small grocery store in the North Lawndale community, and the rest of my time on the south side in Roseland and the Maple Park communities, where my parents moved and had a grocery store in Roseland. So I spent a lot of my youth working with my parents. Even when I came on the job, I was still working in the grocery store. So I pretty much had business model my whole career, from being a toddler sitting on the counter in this grocery store on the west side to being on the south side, and just getting exposed to all types of things that a young person may not be exposed to. Originally, before I came to the fire department, I actually came from corporate America. I came from Arthur Anderson, and I was a tax accountant, and I was kind of feeling like there's got to be something more. So on a dare, I took the test with my then boyfriend and all his friends, which were guys. I just said, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. Because I used to run with them all the time. His brother and my ex-boyfriend, we used to run together every weekend on the lakefront. So I was like, hey, I can do this. And I took the test, and hey, lo and behold, some years later, I got called for the job.
Oh, I love it. Did the other guys that you took the test with, did they join the force as well?
Actually, a few of them did. My ex-boyfriend, which was my ex-husband now, and his brother, they went on to be police officers. So all public servants. So it's a
Got
good,
it.
Yeah.
Got it. So your parents certainly gave you a solid foundation in work ethic. You were working hard from a child on, and I imagine that religion, faith, was also a part of your upbringing.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic. I remember going to Holy Name of Mary, and my mother made sure we went to church. She really made sure of that. And so there was some years in between when I wasn't going. You know, when you get to that time when your parents go, well, you don't have to if you don't want to. But I found myself back in church. As a matter of fact, St. Sabina, which I've gone to for, I can't tell you, over 20 years. I've been a member of the faith community of St. Sabina under Father Michael Flager, which I found my spiritual home. And I found actually a parish. For me, it was looking for a parish that I could connect with. I could like do community, somebody who was in the community making a difference. And that's really how I got led to St. Sabina, because I searched and searched, and nothing felt right until I walked in and I shook Father Mike's hand on a Saturday, not even our Sunday mass. And I shook his hand and I was like, this is where I belong. And I told him that years later.
And I'll bet that he continues to sustain you. It is amazing to me what firefighters do every day. I always think about the fact that you don't run away when there is danger, you run directly into the danger. I am truly in awe. And that said, you must need a whole lot of support outside of the job, given the work that you do.
I think a lot of my support, of course, was family. My parents are no longer with me, but my faith in God, that's a lot of my support. That's what I lean on. And then having camaraderie with other firefighters and paramedics on the job, you develop friendships. People are like family to you. After 32 years, there are people whose children started out with mine and they got married and everything. You know, they have grandchildren now. So you develop a family. You know, you spend so much time. You spend mostly a third of your life working with these people. We actually stay in the firehouse 24 hours. So you get to know people pretty well. And some people just become those people in your life that you never thought that you would connect with, but you do.
Well, and it's so interesting to me. So you really are a family. And that said, you are a part of a family that isn't terribly diverse. I wonder about any discrimination that you faced, certainly at the start of your career. And maybe you can tell us stories of what that was like and how the department, if it has evolved over time.
Well, I can tell you, coming on in 1990, they sent me to a house in Bridgeport. And my first introduction to that firehouse was a big sign in the yard, a huge wooden sign that was there from the strike. And it said, "A bad word, Jane Byrne," because she was the mayor then. So I don't want to say the word. So I was like, wow, this isn't too cool. And this is back in 1990. The strike was in 1980. So anyway, getting sent there, I was thinking, okay, I know this is going to be different. And anyway, I came there to do a job. If I made friends, that was fine. If I didn't, that was fine. But I wasn't welcome. And I knew that. I wasn't welcome. I was the first Black female to go to that house as a firefighter. And I did not let that deter me. And of course, I faced a lot of obstacles, like people putting dog food in my coat or stealing my fire helmet or trying to throw water or flour on me thinking it was a fun game, things like that, or having people come and say things to you that are not appropriate, like civilians. But you know what, through all of it, what I learned is you can't let people do things to you, which I never have. I've always been that kind of person. I can't tolerate a lot of things, especially if they're wrong. I don't tolerate them. So I made it quite clear who I was, what I would not accept. I made it through there and I studied really hard. I had a captain who was African-American on the truck. I was on the engine. My truck captain took me under his wing and he actually taught me everything on the truck. He got me certified to drive the truck. I studied, I sat up front with him as a candidate and I studied. And through that, I was able, and my hard work, I was able to get promoted with 2.5 years on the job to lieutenant out of that house. So I left a lot of them behind and went on to get promoted. But it just goes to show that just because people try to make you feel less, it doesn't mean you have to accept less.
I so appreciate that. And I really appreciate your perseverance. I mean, you're a part of a department that is 68% white. And I understand there are only about 120 women out of the 5,000 people that are a part of that force. Is that correct?
No, we got about 440 women, of which
okay.
women are paramedics. And only about 440 total. 9% of my job, 9% of my force is women. So my first deputy, just so you know, my first deputy is a woman. So never has this happened, a department this big. And Mary Sheridan comes to me with 44 years of experience. She's EMS, which makes us the best couple to run this department because most of our runs are EMS runs. So what I say is we are committed, myself and Mary and the rest of my staff, to ensuring that we get a diverse workforce. Now, the key to this is bringing women in the door. So we're marketing toward women. And as a matter of fact, Women's History Month for March, we had Twitter every day about women in the fire service, be it paramedics, firefighters, or exempt rank, or chief officers. So that's something that we were trying to show women you can do this. Because see, for so many women, they don't look at this as a career. I didn't look at this as a career because I never saw a woman who was a firefighter. I never saw a woman who was a paramedic at that time. So for me to not be able to see it meant I might not get that opportunity.
So, you know, things have certainly evolved over time. There were far fewer women when you started your career. So you're doing outreach to women. You're also, I believe, committed to diversifying the department in other ways. Can you tell us a bit about how you're reaching out to other communities? And I'd also like to know if you've been able to schedule the first firefighters exam. I think that's been hosted in it's months. I don't know when the last firefighters exam was held.
Okay, so DHR, which is Department of Human Resources, a city department, they're the ones who actually schedule the test. So we're still awaiting our first exam in some years. It's been, I think, about 8 or 9 years since our last firefighter exam. So we're still waiting. The only way to diversify a department like this is you have to bring people in the door. Because once we bring you in the door, then you have to get ready. Like I told you, as a firefighter, I was studying for that next rank. it was engineer and lieutenant. So you have to bring them in the door in order to diversify it. On my end, though, as exempt, which are people who are promoted, I have diversified it more than any other commissioner has been able to do. Because I had people who were not just people of color, but people who are qualified to do these jobs. People think diversity means just putting anybody in the spot. No, it means qualified people who can do the job, and that's what we've done. So we continue to try to figure out ways to actually market the fire department. I know a lot of people are excited about taking this next exam, and it's not just women. We need Blacks and Hispanics as well. Our Hispanic numbers are growing. I'm impressed with how we're going in that direction, but our African American and Black numbers are not growing as much. And that's where we really have to target and get people to come out and challenge this exam.
And so how are you specifically reaching out to that community?
So even though we don't have a day schedule, I have a volunteer arm of the Chicago Fire Department called CFD Cares. What CFD Cares is, it's a community-based, but within the fire department, made up of all of us who work and live in these communities. And what we do is we've been going out to all these communities, holding informational sessions on being a firefighter. What do you need to do? What should you expect? So we've already been doing this since last year, before this exam was not announced yet, before we even had a date or have thought about it. So we've already been doing that. We've been doing things on Facebook or Twitter, wherever we can. And like I said, we've been putting out pictures of us doing the work. And we got a whole big campaign. I got some exciting things coming that will be really nice too. But right now we've been actually sitting down in classrooms with people saying, look, everybody, this is a great job. It's a great career. Join us.
Gosh, good for you. Good for you. So then once you get people in the door and you're working hard to diversify your organization, once you get them in the door, then boy, the challenges that are being faced. I understand that there are constant pressures to reduce the size of your crews. How do you address some of the difficulty? I mean, I understand that at this point in time, it's actually medical emergencies that make up 2/3 of all of your calls. How do you balance out this call to reduce crew size and these really complicated calls that you're going out on every single day?
So I can't talk about the reducing of the crews. That's negotiating. That's in labor. So I can't talk about that per se. But let me say this. Although we say fires are going down, the firefighters, the engines, the trucks, they actually go out on the EMS emergency run. So they are the first responders who may be on the scene before ambulance reaches there. And these apparatus are stocked with firefighter EMTs and firefighter paramedics. So they're administering life-saving care before even an ambulance gets there. And then they work in concert with our EMS crew, our paramedics, to make sure the patient is packaged and ready to go. So like I said, this is not just, people think fire department just means fire. Fire department means so much more. It means assist the citizens. It means carbon monoxide. It means hazardous materials responses. It means all of these special events that go on in the city. The fire department has a footprint in them. It's our waterways. It's the lakefront. It's everything. It's our hazardous materials areas. So the fire department does so much more than fires. And fires really are not down that much. They're not just as many, but we're having big fires. We just had a really huge fire on the north side. It's been about a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, you got to look at that. And then let me just say this too. We lost a firefighter recently, firefighter plumber. On any given day, people say, oh, fire is not a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. We get up, we come to work, and we have no idea this may be our last day. But our whole mission, our whole goal is to save somebody and make people feel safe. That's what our goal is. So when I think about it, I think my firefighters and my paramedics, they do an outstanding job. However, the reality of it is, at the end of the day, they may not come home. They may not come home. So with all the training we do, because we do a lot of training, I send a lot of people to special operations training, to all these water rescue classes and everything else. We do so much in addition to when they have emergencies in different states, these hurricanes and everything else. Do you know the Chicago Fire Department sends teams? When Puerto Rico had theirs, we sent teams there. So we go and assist other departments and even surrounding departments. We help them as well because we are resource rich and we have all this special training. So we work together to make sure people are safe.
I so appreciate that. And it causes me to ask you this question. Given the incredible danger faced every day, you said firefighters every day go to work understanding that they may not make it home. So as a department, how do you deal with the, frankly, psychological fallout? You've got to have a fair amount of anxiety, depression, PTSD. How does the department help your family to contend with that difficulty?
So we have something called EAP, our Employee Assistance Program, where we have Elizabeth Crow, who's been with us for over 20 years. And she does a great job at reaching out because, like you said about my son, Blair, he was an innocent victim of violence. Well, our paramedics and firefighters see this every day now. We see a lot of violence. I mean, it's mostly children, but we see a lot of everybody. And it's not just in certain sides, it's throughout the city. So our thing is their mental well-being. And so what we do is when we know they've encountered a traumatic incident, we make sure that EAP reaches out to them immediately. Then we have our chaplains who are available. And we work with our union. Our union has employee assistance and other assistance as well. So we have a lot of avenues to kind of get people through. And we train everybody that gets promoted, gets trained by our employee assistants to recognize triggers and stressors and when do people need help? Do you see something different in an employee? So we're being proactive with it. And although right now we only have 2 employee assistance members, we have 1 more coming soon, but it's still not enough. It's not enough for the magnitude of work and the good work that like these paramedics and firefighters do.
And I'm also curious, there's been all of this conversation nationally about sending social workers, mental health professionals out on these calls. Is that something that's being considered by the department?
So you're talking about as far as civilians, sending them out for civilians. And we have something called the care team. And the care team is made up right now of a clinician from CDPH, Chicago Department of Public Health, one of our paramedics, and one of CPD. And they're going out on these calls in an alternate response model. Right now, we have 2 districts that we're targeting. And it's just a pilot program for right now to see how to expand it and where the greatest need is. So that's already, and that's under the direction of the mayor. The mayor wanted this to happen, and that's where we're at with that right now.
I'll be really curious to hear the results of the study, and I'm sure you will be as well. So it seems like a good place to maybe pivot. And if you're comfortable telling us the story of Blair's death, and how you moved on from that trauma.
Okay. So May 10th of 2007, I dropped Blair off at school that morning. And he would stay with my mom or his grandma because I work 24-hour shifts. So I picked him up from there and I brought him to school. Myself or his dad or my parents would take him to school every morning. He never caught the bus. So he gets out the car, we were talking. I said, okay, we got to discuss the future. What college you going to? And we were going to get him a new phone, his dad and myself. And I always tell him every morning, do good. And I love you. And he said, I love you, Mom. And he gets out the car and goes into school. I had a hair appointment because I was going to see The Color Purple with my sorority sister. And I get a call from his cousin saying, Blair's been shot. And I'm like, no, Blair's at school. He's like, no, Blair's been shot. And I call his dad, who's a cop. I call the fire alarm office for the city. I called people I knew and I was just panicking. I called my mom. My mom didn't even know who I was. I was so stressed out because in my spirit, something was not feeling right. And I just got in my car and started driving. I called my firehouse where I was at. They said, no, Cap, we haven't gotten anything yet. But he had been transported to Christ. And I went to Little Company thinking if he's at Little Company, then he'll be all right because it's not a trauma center. But when I get to Christ, that's the trauma center. I found out it's my only child. And I don't, Father Mike is there with me. Everybody is there because his dad's a cop. I'm the firefighter. It's like everybody I could think of, grammar school, high school, my friends, his friends, family, we're all at Christ. So much so Christ gave us a whole, like basically a whole floor because they had to shut it down because of the police and everybody else. And they, Blair was fighting and Father Mike is praying with us, and they came out and said he didn't make it. And what it was a teenager got on a CTA bus. That day was the only day he was going to take the bus to his grandparents' store to help, which he always did, but we always picked him up. So he said, Mom, I can take the bus. I want you to enjoy your play, because I never did a lot of things. And that particular day, he gets on a bus, a teenager gets on a bus with a gun, and it's crowded full of high school students going home, doing everything we asked them to do, the right thing, go to school, get an education, and he just starts shooting. And he shot actually 5 people that day. Blair died, but he jumped in front of another girl who I was later to find out her father was on the job as a lieutenant or a firefighter at that time. So he saved a life that day, but it changed my life forever. I didn't know how I could make it. Truly, I don't know how I would make it past that, but something in me, and I guess that's the God, I rose up and I was like, my son won't die in vain. And I just started fighting everywhere I could. I was already a part of St. Sabina, so I had Father Mike, and he was with me along the way, and he kept encouraging me, praying for me. Everybody, I had so many people praying for me, and I'm sure those prayers kept me on earth, because when something like this hits you, I'll be honest, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to wrap your mind around it, especially when you got a good kid. I'm not saying any kid should die, but a good kid who loved his grandparents, who worked in their store, who adored his family and friends, and who was like a leader. He was a leader in his own right in school. And I didn't know as much, but one of his teachers told me, she said, if I had more kids like Blair, I would love this job. She was like, because these kids just don't, she was like, he's just such a bright light in this world. And I never knew, for me, he was, for other people, I just didn't know. But after that, I got up and I said, I'm not going to lay down and just suffer in silence. And I started speaking out. I was, on the TV and the paper. I went national, and we formed this organization, Purpose Over Pain, when Mayor Daley was still in office. He brought us together, and we figured out that our purpose was going to be greater than the pain that we had suffered, because we want to make sure other parents don't know what we know. So we have national platforms. As a matter of fact, Mass Design, Michael Murphy, who was a very prominent architect who's done so much work for genocide, everything, monuments to honor. He took on a project for us, which there are houses that are built, and they actually reside right now in the National Buildings Museum in Washington, D.C. And across the country, across the U.S., there are pictures of young people, old people, babies, whole families in there who have been impacted by gun violence. So everything that we're doing is to make this world better so that more parents don't suffer what we suffer.
You so honor your son with your commitment. I being the mother that I am, I absolutely can't fathom putting one foot in front of the other. And you've so far gone beyond that. You have created this organization, Purpose Over Pain, the scholarship fund that honors Blair. But I want to take us back to Purpose Over Pain, if I could, for a moment. So tell me, what is the goal of the organization? I know that you come together. Well, don't let me speak. You speak.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So it's like 3 things we really look at. Number one, when you lose a child, you're not prepared. Some people don't have the money. Some people don't know what to do. They don't know what they're feeling. So the first thing is we reach out to parents who suffered this horrendous loss, and we try to help them somehow figure out what do they want to do with this. If they need assistance with their child and burying their child, we have plots that we donate to families. We're actually raising money to help do the opening and closing for families as well, because it's a big cost to families, and people aren't prepared for this. We also try to help them seek the help they need, whether it be a support group like ours, we have support groups, or whether it be something more serious, like going to see a psychologist, clinician, just to help you cope, because a lot of us found out some of the things we experience, like chest pain, can't sleep, all of this is a result of traumatic stress. What we had, PTSD, a small version of PTSD for some of us. So we figured out how to help families move past that. As a matter of fact, we had a little girl, Diane Roseman. She was jumping rope. And we asked the mom, what do you know, she didn't have the money to put anything, put a dress on the child. What do you want us to do? And she said she wanted to be a princess. We went out and found a princess dress with a crown, with the beautiful white socks and frilly, the socks, the beautiful shoes. And we got that for her. And her brother, he didn't have anything to wear. We bought him an outfit because we were like, he has to somehow get through this. And he told us, I love this, thank you. I can wear this to school. I never had anything like this. It's stories like that that compel us and make us do more and more to help people, because that's what we owe on this earth. The second thing we do is common sense gun legislation. And we've worked in New York with Bloomberg. We've been to the White House. We've been to California. We've been in Springfield. You name it, we've been there talking about we need to get these guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them. Straw purchasers, people with mental health issues, people who are domestic abusers, and youth. They should not, or convicted felons, they should not have access to guns and not have access to education or anything else. So that's really one of our strong things there. And we continue to fight with that with other organizations like GPAC and just various organizations we get together. The third thing is support. So number one, supporting our parents who have lost children. We have outings. We have weekends that we try to get away, and we offer them spa services. We offer them ways to cope, exercise, whatever it is. And we even just a meal, because sometimes just sitting down, having a meal with somebody, it will change their life, especially when they're struggling and going through so much. And then the young people, we reach out, we go talk to schools, we talk to community groups. We host Safe Saturday where we have basketball and crafts for kids, and we invite them in, we feed them, we give them something that they can take back, some food for the soul that can help them survive in this world, because it's just been so violent. And those are that's in a nutshell, basically, but we do everything. Marches, we with Father Mike with marches, and we march through the Auburn Gresham community every Saturday after school is out, every Friday night after school is out, trying to break up this violence, these gangs, these guns, and give people hope to turn their lives around.
I don't know when you sleep. I'm
A lot.
I'm in awe. I'm in awe. I have a question for you. Do you have any insights about the surge in gun violence and this? I don't know. What's causing the surge in the gun violence, and are there particular programs and interventions that that are really working, in addition to purpose over pain, obviously sitting with people, sharing meals, helping in the moment of the crisis, but share a little bit of your insights, please.
So I'm not quite sure statistically what is causing this. You would have thought that because of COVID, people would stay in. It would be more, maybe COVID caused another link of some type of mental health challenges, cause people to be more out there. When you keep people inside, and they really don't have a need to be inside. I really don't know specifically if there is one thing you can pinpoint to this, but I think groups like CRED with Ernie Duncan, I think St. Sabina, Strong Futures, Brave Youth, those are organizations I'm really familiar with that are doing the work. And they're actually, Ernie Duncan on the West Side, I was a deputy and I met him over there and spoke at a school. And I was just amazed. There are kids sitting in the class who the teachers had no idea that they had witnessed someone be murdered, or they had a member in their family that was pressuring them to do the wrong thing. So it could be a lot of things, but I think lack of investment in community, leaving communities blighted, taking education, especially art, music, physical fitness out of school. All of these things, they add up in the end, because some of these are coping mechanisms, and some of these, I think, what people feel. If you live in a beautiful place, I think you feel a little differently as living in a place with a lot of trash, a lot of vacant lots, abandoned housing, no fresh food. And I'm just saying, this is just Annette saying that. That's what I think. I think it's a holistic approach that needs to happen with all of this. It's not just a beautiful new building. You got to fix the minds and the hearts of the people who've been impacted. It's like going to war. You can't be in a war and not come back changed forever. So now you have to get some type of help to help you figure out how do you readjust your mindset, your thinking. And how do we prepare these? And we got to prepare them to have jobs, even the young people who have not had that opportunity, but to get jobs that are life-changing, like a trade, whether it's a welder or construction. If you don't give them something, they'll find something. And it might not be what we want. So it's a lot of opportunities for us as society to make a difference, because you can't look at one neighborhood and say, not in my neighborhood, because I tell you, coming to you soon.
I do want to remind people that this is a very special presentation, the First Friday Club of Chicago. We're so grateful that you are here with us today. And please, if you're interested in continuing to support this free presentation of programming through this difficult time, go to the website and make a donation if you can. Before we close out, I guess I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the many ways that you are working to make our fine city of Chicago a better place. The First Friday Club of Chicago really tries to challenge, to inspire the folks who participate in these monthly programs. And gosh, I think you have. I hope that people who've heard you today will find a way to get involved and continue to be a part of investing in this great city of ours. I don't know, anything that we've missed, anything else you want to say? I mean, we don't have enough time here. The gun violence memorial, I mean, there's so much that you've been involved in. And I'm just going to say as an aside, and I know I'm not supposed to be talking, you're supposed to be talking, but Mass, the architectural firm that Michael Murphy has been involved in. It's a model of architecture serving society. Michael Murphy saw the work that you and others were doing with Purpose Over Pain and said, we've got to have a memorial to the folks we've lost through gun violence in this country. And now I'm sorry, you go.
I was saying, what's funny is that we met him at the lynching memorial in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh,
and our dream was always to have something here. And it was at it was downtown for a little while, but he listened to us. And he
at the cultural center. Yeah, sorry.
Right, at the cultural center. I couldn't, that's me now. I couldn't think of it. But when we met him there, we waited for him at one of the breakfasts that he hosted. And we waited to talk to him afterwards because we saw the work that he had done. And we were like, oh my God, because his work will have you crying. It will have you in deep thought. It will have you figure out, what can I do to make this a better place? Mm-hmm. And that was exactly what happened. And Michael listened to us, and he actually called us the next week, Pam and I. And I was just so grateful because we talked to so many people. Nobody ever cared. Nobody ever listened. And he continues to figure out ways for us to grow and grow and grow. So, and like I said, right now it's in the National Builders Museum in Washington. I actually took a trip down there just to see it there. And it's grown. Yeah. It has grown. So we hope that it'll go to Boston next. But it's people like that who haven't been impacted, but who figured that if I can help you make a difference, let's do this together.
And I do want to just let people know that the memorial is made of rooms that honor those who've been murdered by gun violence, through gun violence. And so, I mean, if you want to describe that a little bit, just so people have a sense of what they'd see. Yeah.
Well, it's actually glass houses. And I believe it's 7 of them, don't quote me, but in each glass house, there are artifacts or things that belong to loved ones. So there will be a picture, you might see a baby shoe, you might see a hat of a job, like a Portillo's hat where a young person works. You might see a family, a father, a mother, and a child, or a mother who was pregnant. You will see a lot of different, and this representation is not just from Chicago, but as we travel, we take in artifacts that we actually have them, they install. And I mean, it really does touch your heart because you look and you see things and you're like, wow, you see a picture and you go, that person is no longer here. And it's so many of them. And it's not just one color. It's so many different colors. You know, it's not just black, it's not just Hispanic, it's not just white. It's like human. It's human. That's what it is. And I think art has a way of captivating us and making us think inside, what if? What could I do? And I think that's what Michael was able to do. He's done it in Rwanda. He has something coming in Boston, something he's doing, I think, for Martin Luther King. So we were blessed. I'm gonna tell you, nobody but a God can line you up with a person like that. And we pitch it to him and he says, yes, nobody but a God. And we didn't have the money. We didn't have the money. We all went together to do this. So nobody but
you again, you've been so generous with your time, and you told us in advance that you'd have to be off momentarily. You'd have to end your presentation because again, you have a very packed schedule. I guess I just want to ask, is there anything that you'd like to say to the people of Chicago, to the folks who are listening, anything that we've missed or anything you want to repeat?
So what I would like to say, it's an honor leading such a wonderful department. It is definitely a great department. However, I need help. I need people to go out there and help us create the diversity. So when they announce this entrance exam, we need people to come out and take this exam. That's the only way we're going to create this diversity. And it's not going to happen overnight, but if we at least plant a seed, hopefully one day this department will get back to being a little bit more diverse than it is right now. That's my goal while I'm here. And we don't know how many years I'm going to do this, but that's where I want to start to make a difference and to make it more welcoming to everyone, to women, to men, to whoever, to whatever color you are. We want to make this a more welcoming department. And we put a lot of things in place to start making it feel that way a lot more. Opportunity, Maureen and Father Cusack, for giving me just this platform to talk to you, because I know it was hard getting this schedule. I am very busy, but I knew I had to do this, and I'm just glad I had the opportunity to participate.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I don't think you sleep. I don't know how you do all that you do, but gosh, you have certainly inspired me, and I have no doubt you've inspired all of the folks who are listening and watching today. So gosh, thank you so much. Please stay safe. We need you, Commissioner. And with that, I would like to turn it back over to Father John Cusick, our chaplain, to close us out today. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
My honor.
Commissioner, when I was growing up, my bosses were firefighters, and I've been drawn to people who are firefighters, and the insight you have supported in me today is that some people have jobs, other people have vocations. And I believe the vocation of a firefighter is a passion for life. It's a passion to help, and it's amazingly a passion to serve. Now, back in the day when I was in high school, they were all men. But they knew of doing nothing else. So thank you for what you do, because the passion you have has gone beyond your own personal pain and loss, not to sit and have a pity party, but to keep pushing forward. Now pushing the firefighters in Chicago to their highest possible self, and in your own personal life and your faith life. I'm just truly grateful for who you are and where you are positioned in our city at a very, very difficult time. So thank you so much for today, and just being a hopeful person in my life in a very difficult time in the city of Chicago. So I'm honored and I'm thankful to you. God bless you, your husband, and may Blair live forever in God's love. Thank you all, folks, for being with us today. We're going to get back on the first Friday of May. That's going to be our last time together, right, Maureen? And that'll be May 6th. And we're going to have another amazing Chicagoan. What a good way to close out the year. We began with Dr. Ezike, and we're going to end with Melody Hobson. And in the midst of that, we threw in the Fire Commissioner of Chicago. So we're just really having a blessed year. Melody Hobson is connected very much, the driving force behind aerial investments, another extremely busy person. But we're thrilled to have her with us on the first Friday of May, May 5th, 2022. So thank you for being with us today. One more time. And may God continue to bless all of us in all the things we do and all the dreams we have. God bless you all.